Now, good morning. Is anybody out there? Hey, hey, hey. There's a super delay in the chat. Da 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 do. Hey, hey, hey. Gotta mute myself. What? Sunbuns? Are you like, am I early enough where you can stay? Or are you like running out the door to work now? Because I think in the time delay has it like where you will leave in 10 minutes for work. So I'm gonna live read. Oh no, I work later today. Yeah, sunbuns. No, you're beautiful. Okay, so since you're here first so far, I don't see anybody else saying anything. Hey, Zach. Sweet. So I picked 3 things we can do here, which this one's only 7. 7 completely terrifying first date murders that will have you swearing off online dating forever. Geez, could you pick a longer title for something? The next one is 25 frightened people leak their hometown horror story. And our third option is 25 horrifyingly brutal and drawn out deaths that actually happened. And I will let you guys decide which one you want to hear. Good morning, Arcelia. Sunbuns, I know I feel like a jerk because I'm like a shooting star. You rarely see me. LOL, I met my husband on MySpace. I met my husband on Plenty of Fish. I'm not even kidding you. Like, we met up. We had been talking for 2 weeks. And at that point, I was just done dating. And I met him. I'm like, we're meeting as friends. This is not even a date. So we met, and he hugged me right as soon as we met. And he was shaking. And I thought, oh, he's too cute for me. Like, he was just adorable. And we sat at McDonald's. We didn't eat or drink anything. We talked until they made us leave the lobby. Then we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, which was like down the street, and sat there until that closed. And then we stood in the parking lot and talked for a little while. And then we've just like been together since then. First date? Yeah, I wouldn't recommend. Hey, black eyed kid. All right, cool. Now online dating. Yeah, I don't recommend. I really think that it should just be a situation where you meet someone face to face and get to know them and then decide if you like them. I think that I understand the concept because people get super lonely and it's hard to, and rejection combined with loneliness, it can make people fear getting to know someone. But I think that even if it requires false confidence at first, just being confident in yourself and enjoy time by yourself and who you are is super helpful when you meet someone else because then you know who you are in your own self. And then then you can meet someone else who is themselves. You know what I mean? Like if you're just pretending to be something to meet somebody else or you're too uncomfortable to be yourself around that person, it's probably not someone you should date. Maybe I highly recommend being someone's friend first and then maybe like I know there's the whole friend zone theory, but that's you're either someone's friend or you're not someone's friend. Sometimes it can feel autumn. Good morning. Sunbuns, I've finally been catching up on your channel. Oh my God, they're so relaxing. Are you talking to me, Sunbuns? Sick. We started off as friends, yeah. I think that's the best way because attraction is one thing, but your life partner person has to be your best friend because they have to be on your side and they have to back you up and they have to like you when you're not so lovable, That's really important. It's crucial. And there are times when that sometimes you never want to it's a test. But then there's times when you know that that person has your back. That's your person. Oh, thank you. I haven't posted that much lately because I've been trying to I I don't want to push Patreon because I know it makes people mad, but I've been trying to raise money to make my own website and not even a website, just a platform for horror. And so I've been posting every Wednesday on Patreon and every Tuesday on SoundCloud. But the stuff on SoundCloud is stuff that's been on my channel before, but it's just audio, which I think that most people just listen to me anyway. I don't think that they always watch the video. But when I do make a video, I try to make it interesting to look at. The friend zone is where people that pretend to be your friend to get laid go. Right. Let's see. Autumn, how are your audiobooks coming along? I have one more, and I'm going to have to ask for an extension on it because it's massive, and I needed her to number the chapters because there was some chapters that had like a sub-chapter within the chapter, but they weren't numbered, and I had her do that, and then I just needed a break from it because when you reading requires complete silence in your household unless you have a sound booth, which I don't. So finding the time to just read, just straight read with complete and utter silence when you have like people coming in and out of your house and then you have pets and traffic, it's just wow. But then sitting and editing, like editing per chapter. I should make a video on that just so you can see how time consuming it is because that audio has to be perfect, like perfect. It's definitely a learning experience. So after you, oh, you do, Zach Sherman says, I have a SoundCloud of songs I wrote when I was a DJ. You should post that in the comments so people can listen to it. Post when this is over, Zach, come back and post the link in the comments so people, if they come back and listen, or even like you can post it right now in the chat too. Sunbun says, I have a friend who may be able to help provide stories for you to read, and I said I'd provide extra voice work if you need any help. Hey. Insanity Man. Wow, hello. Hey, Duchess, I love your channel and your killer display every week. Sunbuns, what software do you use for editing? I use Audacity. It's great. Audacity is free. Most of the professionals say, I mean, unless you come into something where you're like producing music or an entire show, there's nothing wrong with using Audacity. It's got everything that you need for that. Night Companion, it's been a while. Since Shady Dawn Pictures. Good morning, Duchess. I'm listening to your video about family killers. I'm depressed now. Well, don't be depressed, especially if you don't have anyone in your family that has made you feel like you want to run for your life. Sunbuns, I have it too. Barely remember how to use it though. Audacity? That's what I use to make all my videos too. It's fantastic. I just learned, like each time I have been on it and I think, oh, there's nothing new I can learn. I learned like a new little trick to the audio that I didn't know before, and it just, oh, the way I talk about serial killers is very calming. That's kind of terrifying, don't you think? The whole reason I started it was because I love true crime too. And so I thought I wanted to see killers that, you know, everybody covers like, I did Ted Bundy and I didn't want to, but I did learn a lot about him that I didn't know before. But I keep getting requests for Gacy, and I'll just say that I won't do Gacy because everyone has covered him. I feel like he's been overcovered, and I don't feel like I can bring anything new to the table. Like when I try to showcase serial killers, I try to, and I don't always succeed, but I try to focus on people that others really haven't heard about or even knew about. There's a lot of them that really people should know about, but it's like the media picks like a handful of them, and that's the only ones that you know, like hear about. So then people don't delve deeper to see if there's maybe someone else they haven't heard of before. Night Companion says, hello, Zach. I also have a SoundCloud with music for narrators. Night Companion, I'm going to tell you the same thing. Post your link in the chat and then come back when the live stream is over and post it in the comments so people can go and listen, because I would also like to go listen. I want to make sure that I have that in my thing here. So for those of you that are new, we have 3 options for you guys to vote on. So the first one is 7 completely terrifying first date murders that will have you swearing off online dating forever. Or 25 frightened people leak their hometown horror story. And the third option is 25 horrifyingly brutal and drawn out deaths that actually happened. And I will let you guys vote on that. My name is Victor. Hello, Victor Vega. Lenny, hello, person. Testing new streamer. Woot woot. Are you new here, Lenny? Night Companion, the main serial killers that media labels as the worst are nowhere close. Yeah, if you've watched my video on Pedro Lopez, if no one's watched that, I highly recommend it. It was a shocking one to discover, to say the least. And I was disappointed and shocked that I had never heard of that person before. So I have one vote for number 3. All 3. Ha ha ha. Hometown Departures. So that is number 2. So number 1 was the first date murders. That would be number 1. Number 2 is the hometown horrors. Number 3 are the drawn out deaths. So 1, 2, 3. Sunbuns has summoned me to this plane of reality. Sunbuns, do you like watching true crime shows or documentaries? Yeah, I do. But mainly when I watch something, I either want to be scared, or I want to laugh. And lately I felt the need to laugh. Excuse me. More than anything else, because it's just... we got 1 vote for number 1 from Anthony Radomski. There are serial killers that have killed over 1,000 others, with victims of children over 400. Yeah, there's so many. Someone requested Vera Renzi, if you haven't heard of her, and I was going to do her on Serial Killer Saturdays, but I couldn't find enough information on her, and a lot of the things that led to what I thought would be evidence of her killing were just articles saying that she was believed to be a myth because they didn't believe that she did it. So there's not a lot of documentation on if she actually did it. Side note, Shady Dawn Pictures says, side note, do you have merch yet? Yeah, I have. All those links are on my channel. When you go, you can see where the Patreon, where the SoundCloud, where the merch is. I had a VidMe, but I just took it down because there was no traffic there, really. So mainly I was just sharing just to share, and it wasn't really... Django the Slave. You have the most seductive voice I have ever heard in my life. All right, now send me money. I'm just joking. Do you watch anime, and if so, have you seen Case Closed? I haven't, but I will write that down and check it out. Case Closed. Where can I find it? Do you know? Not all anime is always in an easy place to find, I've noticed. Sunbuns, I just tried to watch Flowers in the Attic. Yeah, the movie wasn't that great, but the premise of the book was super depressing. If anybody doesn't know, this lady had, I believe this is the correct summation of this movie and book. And is it a true story, Sunbuns? Because I can't remember, but this lady basically had 4 kids and kept them in the attic because she wanted to marry this one guy and didn't want him to know that she had these 4 kids. And at the wedding, they kind of broke out of the attic and ruined it all. If that's right. Angela, good morning. Let me know if I got that right, Sunbuns. So far, I have 2 votes for number 3, 1 vote for number 1, and 2 votes for 1 vote for number 1. I'm going to ask one more time, and then if not, I'll just go with number 3. So number 1 was First Date Murders. Number 2, Hometown Horrors. Number 3, Drawn Out Deaths. Has anybody started Christmas shopping yet? I should take pictures of the inside of my house because I noticed last night that I went overboard with decorating, and we put up our Christmas lights last night because it was 60 degrees in Michigan yesterday. Now it's back to 40 something, but it was the perfect weather for putting that up, and we don't have any snow yet. So it's gotten kind of crazy here. All right. If they still exist, you'd make bank as a phone sex operator. I don't think I could do it because, you have to like interact with those people, I think. Like if you could just record something and people called to listen to you and paid you money, sign me up because we have some stuff to fix. Like, I don't even want to get into it, but oh my God. But I don't think I could talk to someone and like interact with someone like that. Ew. It would feel so wrong. Um Case closes. Lenny Hayes says Case Closed is pretty popular, so it should be on Amazon or maybe even Hulu. If you do know, Lenny, will you post it in the chat, or actually post it on the stream when the stream is over? That way, like when people listen back, they can go to that too. It's a murder mystery anime. It sounds cool. MOs are a joke. The clever ones change their tactics in order to avoid a trail of their own specific work. Night Companion, Zach, I feel you. I miss music as well. DJ in Florida, Insanity Man. Number 2, number 3, number 2, number 3, number 2. Okay. I think that's an even amount for which stories we're going to do. Flowers in the Attic is fiction. It's a whole series. I love the book, hated the films. I was hoping the Lifetime films will be better. You know, between Lifetime and Hallmark, I think once in a while they come out with something that's really amazing, but mainly they just pump out movies like someone just sits down and writes one afternoon and then they make a movie of it. Like that's what I feel like a lot of the stuff on those channels are. But sometimes they have a movie that just they put out and it's just really good and you just happen to see it on accident. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but I know it's called Freeform now, but it used to be ABC Family, and they usually put out like 25 Days of Christmas or whatever. And this isn't scary at all, but the funniest, like dorky Christmas movie I think I've seen is this one that's got Melissa Joan Hart and Mario Lopez, and it's called Holiday in Handcuffs. So if you guys get a chance to see that, I think it's hilarious because it just reminds me of like everyone when they have like a meltdown right at Christmas movie. Okay. Can you straw poll for voting too? You can use straw poll on here? I don't know how to do that. Could you read Brothers Grimm stories? I did come across that. I'm gonna write that down, Brothers Grimm, because it has a whole. It's like a It's like Mother Goose, but for scary stories. Am I right on that? There's like a whole bunch of stuff in there, and I believe that it's like everyone's free to use it, if I'm correct. Autumn asks, I decorated and have the kids that my husband left to buy for. Oh, I haven't even. I bought one present for each person, but I hate the holidays. Bad Lifetime and Hallmark movies are my favorite. Yes, Shady Dawn. I think that sometimes the worst ones are my favorite because they're just so hilariously bad. Oh my gosh. So most of the time, if I put like a Hallmark movie on because I want to feel all Christmassy, my husband just dies laughing because it's so ridiculously unrealistic. It's just ridiculous. Good morning, Sarah. Night Companion. We are still doing 25 days. Yeah, they still are, but they made that movie a while ago, and I don't think they once in a while come out with something funny, but that was the funniest one. Whoever came up with that movie, that probably should have been like something you saw in the theaters that was funny. Good morning. My workload goes nuts. At Christmas? Zach, your workload goes nuts? Movie of the week kind of shit. I honestly don't remember the last time I watched a Lifetime movie. I'm not really into the whole, because a lot of their movies involve a lot of Kleenex, so I try to avoid that. Hallmark sneaks them in on you too, but so far we're going with number 3, 25 horrifyingly brutal and drawn out deaths that actually happened. So are you ready to put on your helmets? Good morning, Pooh Bear. Just popping in to say hi. Wish I could listen, but gotta go back to work. Have a good day. It'll be up, so you'll be able to hear it. And my insanity. An executive chef. Ooh, that's one thing. Along with like learning a language, I would love to take more cooking classes and like go above, like you can hand me stuff and I can make a dinner out of it. It doesn't matter if I have recipes and stuff. But there's techniques and stuff I'd like to learn at that level. Definitely. Can you do more True Glitch in the Matrix? If I can find them, Mr. Richards REM, I will definitely. If you have any suggestions, I'm going to write that down. True Glitch in the Matrix. I think I did find some. I have to go back and sometimes I think I saved something and then I go to look for it and I haven't. So, all right, are you guys buckled in? Now, last week when I read the stories, I haven't read these either, and I hadn't read the ones before, and they were bad. Okay, here we go. Number 1, 20,000 times the fatal dose of radiation, 83 days of living hell. The dude involved in a nuclear accident who got exposed to a fuck ton of radiation and lived fully conscious for a few months. Hasashi Ochi. Literally 83 days with all of his skin melted off. His DNA completely obliterated. His immune system destroyed. He was undoubtedly in excruciating pain throughout all of his life. He begged for death, but they kept pumping him full of healthy blood, transplanting new skin, and keeping him alive to whatever extent they could. There's an article with an extremely disgusting picture. Oh, we don't need to see that. From day one, they knew this level of radiation poisoning was absolutely unsurvivable, with it being 20,000 times the fatal dose. But this information was kept from him and his family. It's a nightmare of Cronenberg proportions. Wow. Yeah, I don't know why they would do that, why they would keep trying to keep someone alive when you know that that's not something that people are going to live through. That's why it's a big deal to stay away from radiation. Number 2, kidnapped, tortured, fed cockroaches, burned alive, covered in concrete. Oh my gosh. Remember, these are not going to be friendly stories, so if this is going to bother anyone, kindly tune out. Whew. Junko Furuta was a 17-year-old Japanese teenager kidnapped by a group of young men. They kept her captive in the house owned by one of their parents. That was the beginning of her 44 days of torture that led to her death. They fed her only cockroaches to eat, only her own urine to drink. Foreign objects inserted into her vagina and anus, including a still lit light bulb, broken bottles, cigarettes, fireworks. They lit her legs on fire multiple times. There was rape and sodomy every day. She's estimated to have gone through approximately 500 rapes due to her captors' Yakuza ties. She endured constant physical beatings, included hits with golf clubs, bashing of face against the cement floor. She was beaten to such an extent that her brain was shrinking from the trauma. She lost bowel control after dumbbells were dropped on her stomach while she lay on the floor with hands and feet bound. She was hung from the ceiling and used as a boxing bag. On her last day of custody, she begged for them to just kill her. So they challenged her to a game of Mahjong solitaire and told her if she'd won, they'd let her go. She did win, but instead of releasing her, they beat her with iron barbells and set her legs, arms, face, and stomach alit after pouring lighter fluid on them. She went into shock and died the next day. Her corpse was found stuffed into a concrete-filled barrel on a tract of reclaimed land in Koto, Tokyo. Wow. So again, yeah, it doesn't really say what happened to the guys. Like, it doesn't say the punishment of the people that have done anything here. Oh, I've tried to warn you. These are bad. Hello, Harry. We're decent today. Today's a good day. Yeah, Sunbuns, I had never heard about that girl before. Yeah, you wandered into some rough territory. We are reading 25 brutal and drawn-out deaths that actually happened, and we are starting on number 3. This one is rather short. Camarena was an undercover DEA agent that was captured and tortured by a cartel in the 80s. He was injected with amphetamines, and other drugs to ensure that he remained conscious while being tortured over a 30-hour period, culminating with a hole drilled into his head with a power drill. That was number 3. Number 4. Eaten alive by a grizzly bear while a camera was rolling. I've seen different footages of this. I've heard that once you make contact with a bear, like it sees you, you have no chance because they run a lot faster than most people are aware of. Okay, spoiler alert, I guess. The death of the grizzly man. At the end of the documentary Grizzly Man, you hear the guy getting killed by a bear that wandered into his camp. His screams as the thing kills him are horrific. All the while this is happening, you can hear his girlfriend screaming in shock in the background. Oh my God. I go back to the chat to say. I don't know if they're all torture. They're drawn out deaths. They got like 10 years each. That's it? One of the boys showed interest in her at school. She said she wasn't interested, and that's it. Then they took it upon themselves to do that all to her, says Sunbuns. Harry reads, I watched a video of 2 men beating and stabbing a man to death. Why did you watch that video? You could fight a bear. They say that you're supposed to, if a bear attacks, you're supposed to pretend like you're dead. I just feel like it's still going to try and eat you, though, even if you pretend to be dead. Like, what are you going to do? It already saw you alive. Do you just drop to the ground and pretend like you died? Probably die of a heart attack. And right before you go, like, if you know Michigan very well, so if you go up to the tippy top of Michigan before you go across the bridge to the UP, there's a town called Indian River. And a friend of mine and myself went up there for like 4 days. And we got there, we got to this, like, it was like a gas station / restaurant / like souvenir store. Well, you go in there and it says, would you like to see the bear? And they had a bear in a cage up on a hill. And they had some kid feeding it. And we thought to ourselves, oh, this is going to end bad. Like, we're like, why do you have that bear? Like, they didn't have an answer for us. So 4 days. 4 days later, we were passing the same place. There's an ambulance there, and we look at each other like, no way. We go inside, and a kid went up to try and feed this bear, and he had a slash from his shoulder all the way down across his body because the bear attacked him. I'm like, you can't keep an animal like that in captivity. It's not fair. Okay. People say, fight the bear off, kick in the groin, shove your hand down its throat, try to gouge its eyes. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't know what to expect, but finished. By God, I finished. What did you finish? Ran to the gauntlet? You're talking about the bathroom? Anyway, Sunbuns, playing dead doesn't usually work. Bear attacks, they will just maul you until you're quiet and then eat you slowly. Did anybody ever see Faces of Death? There's a bear attack on there, and there's a people, like, they were feeding the bears. Someone else is in their car watching someone else feed the bears, and they were like, what are they doing? Why are they feeding the bear? They were like, get in your car, telling people to get in their car. And the next thing you know, you like see these people freaking out. And all I remember is seeing the camera on its side and the bear like walking, like trotting past the camera with a hand in its mouth. I can't remember the whole thing, but I just remember going, why would anybody put this together for someone to watch for entertainment? Like, black bears in Florida get scared easy. Buy bear spray before hiking. It works. It's like a heavy-duty pepper spray. Yeah, I've heard that it does work too. Shady Dawn Pictures says, I hate bears. I live in New Jersey and vacation in New York and PA, but I don't do camping primarily because of bears. Victor Vega says, playing dead don't work. The bear would sit on you till it eats you. Bears are scavengers. Yeah. So we've all surmised bear equals die. Okay, moving on. Number 5. This says, bound to a glowing iron throne and roasted to death. Georgi Doza, I don't think I said that right, led a peasants' revolt in Hungary and was captured in 1514. He was bound to a glowing iron throne, and a likewise hot iron crown was placed on his head, and he was roasted to death. Not like you see on Comedy Channel. Can you imagine if someone could be roasted to death? Like they tell so many horrible jokes about you till you just die? Awful. Yeah, it's like a goddamn country bear jamboree in New York, says Zach. Faces of Death. Gag. Yeah, I don't think they make those anymore, which I'm really glad that they don't. I don't know how many they made. I'll Google it later, but ew. Like why was that okay for someone to put together and then like put it out for other people to view as entertainment? I remember one of them was a guy, he was standing by some fence that was outside of some company, and someone literally caught on film him pouring gasoline over himself and lighting himself on fire. Man. Okay. Harry Reid says, Run the Gauntlet, the internet's 20 most disgusting videos, each one worse than the last, featuring a woman drowning, dogs being skinned alive, and two women vomiting in each other's mouths. Oh my God, why is that a thing that people would watch? Like, why? Don't promote that. The more that you promote something that's awful, the more someone will feel the need to fill that need. Do you know what I'm saying? Billy Poppins. What's up, peeps? What's up, Billy? We are on, for those of you that are new, we are reading 25 horrifyingly brutal and drawn out deaths that actually happened, and we are on number 6. And I'm going to warn you, if you're new, it's bad. It's brutal, but it's like everything else I read, it's pretty disgusting. All right. Oh boy. Oh boy, this one's bad. Qi was consort to Emperor Gaozu of China Han Dynasty, of the Chinese Han Dynasty, and she bore him a son. The Empress Li Ji, I know I'm pronouncing these horribly wrong, I'm so sorry, was attempting to push her son to be the emperor's heir, though the emperor preferred the son of his consort. This infuriated Li Ji. So she did the logical thing and had Zi's Qi shaved, placed in chains, and dressed as a prisoner. She had assassins force poison down Qi's son's throat. She cut off her lips, cut out her tongue, gouged out her eyes, and had her arms and legs amputated. Afterward, she threw her in a manure-filled pigsty where she survived for several torturous days, being presented as the human swine. Li Ji's son, having become the next emperor, was so disgusted by her cruelty, he became a fervent alcoholic, basically giving up his duties as regent. Wow. Have we learned nothing from history? Apparently not. Oh my goodness. Let me check the chat. Whoa. What's Brazen Bull? Oh, that's how I feel about challenges like that. Okay. Victor Vega, 16 Fingers of Death, good movie. Is it actually a good movie, or is it just something where someone's being tortured the whole time? Harry says, I'm completely desensitized now. In a reality, it wasn't that bad, which disturbs me. Sunbun says, the only reason I know about any of this shit is Rainbot's things you shouldn't Google. So, of course, you Googled it and then thought, Lucy, Lee's, Shaggy, Kiri, people are dicks. Billy Poppins, it repeats. Football Master, hello dear, hope your day is going well. That's my husband for anybody that doesn't know. Billy Poppins, burn people alive in a brass bull. Ew. Oh my God, she doesn't know what the brazen bull is. This will be fun. No, I won't look it up. If it's anything that I don't find, when I read these stories, it's just to inform you that this stuff goes on, because I'm alarmed at the amount of people that think that horrible things don't happen in the world, but I'm also aware that sometimes just by watching 10 minutes of the news, that by being aware of this stuff, too much can be too devastating. So that's why I like the balance of true stories and creepypastas, because sometimes the reality of humanity can be so depressing that it makes it hard to go on. Foodie dude. Good morning, Duchess. Hey, Paul. Phone calls. Okay. Well, I'll still be here, Sunbuns. We're only on number 7. So this says, number 7 says, look up execution of the Munster Anabaptists. 3 men strapped to a stake so they could feel all the vibrations and hear and smell what was happening to the others. Each one was tortured individually for an hour with white-hot tongs, their skin ripped away, their flesh cooked, their muscles torn, their tongues ripped out. If they at any point went unconscious, that time was not counted toward their hour. They had to be alive and awake for it all. They were tortured one by one. Imagine being the last of the 3, knowing what's coming for 2 hours, and then finally getting it. Oh my God. Number 8, I'm just going to do this one because it's really short and then we'll move on. Ended up trapped in a walk-in oven and slowly roasted to death at 270 degrees. You can look up an article about a guy who worked for Bumblebee Tuna, who ended up trapped in a walk-in oven and slowly roasted to death at 270 degrees. To put that in a little perspective, usually you toast bread at around 225 degrees. So this was less than 50 degrees hotter than toasting to death. Oh boy. Wow. Well, I won't be buying Bumblebee tuna for a while. Not that I can most of the time. Every time I open a can of tuna fish, I'm looking at it going, is this really tuna? World War II. Oh. Some guy drowned in molten chocolate. I feel like the news really robs us of interesting things that happen all over the world because all of the media picks like 2 or 3 stories and just crams it down your throat until you're sick of hearing about it and doesn't actually report all the news. Speaking of news, just a side note, everybody watch the firing of Matt Lauer this morning. If anybody's from America, he's a long time news anchor on a very popular morning show that's broadcast nationwide here. And he was fired for sexual misconduct. Fired, not on probation, not looked into, fired. So that means that it's not just a maybe. And they said it wasn't a one-time incident, and we don't even know what it is. And the people of the show are saying that they don't know how to handle it because they really care about him and they really care about the person that it happened to. And they're just really disappointed and sad. But you know, when all this stuff started, I told my husband, I'm like, there's going to be people that come out that get outed that you're going to be so disappointed in because you will just, it's been happening for so long. And I did say that it's not just going to be Hollywood. It will be a trickle effect, but it'll be something that's needed to happen for a long time because I know personally, as a woman, there's been times at work where you just have to, women, I don't know if you can agree with me, and men, I'm sorry. If you're a good man that doesn't do anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. But if you're a guy that goes around pinching people, saying derogatory shit all the time, then yeah, maybe you should watch your back. But if there's just good guys that aren't doing this stuff, you don't have anything to worry about. And I'm aware of the fact that there are women that just go out of their way to make people feel like they're doing something wrong. That's wrong too. However, the workplace has been a very threatening place. All I can say is there's some relief. There's some relief, long needed relief. And as a woman, I don't know how to say it. Like, I don't want people to feel victimized at work, and I don't want people to feel targeted either. I just feel like this trickle effect is going to get rid of a lot of bad people in positions of power, men and women that have abused their power for a long period of time. And I am personally deeply relieved that it's happening. And I hope it continues to happen. And I hope it continues to weed out those horrible people in positions of power that needed to be gone a long time ago. But the people that have been affected by it felt so isolated and trapped because they needed a job and they had a career to make and they didn't know really what to do. So, anyways, just going to say that. Yeah. So, Harry, Brexit, there's 10,000 articles. We're leaving the EU. I said we're leaving. Did I mention we're leaving the EU yet? Hey guys, we're leaving again. To repeat, we're leaving. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. There's like, how many times do they need to say it? That damn straight, Harry. Yeah. No, it's never a bad time to say Merry Christmas. It's never a bad time to say Happy Holidays. I feel like, people are, oh, keep Christ in Christmas. I get that. But, we also have like other holidays, and I don't want anyone to feel isolated like they don't belong either. So I feel like saying Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, say whatever you want to. I'm not offended by anything. I think just the positive thought towards wishing someone well at any time of year, including this time of year, is welcome. So whatever you celebrate, have a good holiday. That's what I feel. Plus in America, like holiday is like Christmas, New Year, Thanksgiving, like it's a holiday. But everywhere else, like when you go on holiday, that was a concept that like I learned as a grown up. Holiday is a vacation and everywhere else in the world, I think, except for here. Yeah, I think so. I got put on medication because I couldn't handle the drama in the workplace. Now I work at home. I think that's going to be, yeah, I think so too, Paul. These people should be held accountable. And I think that I brought the Matt Lauer thing up because it's important to remember that there are people that you care about, and that's the one lady said, it's confusing when you care about someone, but you don't like what they did, and then you know that they need to face the consequences. It's very hard for people to be like, I love you, but you did something wrong, and you got to fix it. So happy Hanukkah, yeah. Happy Hanukkah too. PC is crazy. Um, Most of the servers flirt with me, guys and girls, but that's where it stops. I think and Zach, and I think everyone will agree, there's a difference between like flirty and like taking it, like even verbally taking it too far. And it doesn't even have to be like promising assault, but there's just some people, when they're talking to you, I don't, you get this vibe where you're like, oh, they have a different way about it. I don't know how to explain it other than that because I'm using my hands like you guys can see me. Oh my God. Okay. Easter Sunday. Well, then you say Happy Easter here. Does everyone else have Good Friday celebrations like in their countries too? Like Friday before Easter? I'm getting totally off track now. Is that why you guys come here? Because I'm a ding dong. We are reading 25 horrifyingly brutal and drawn out deaths that actually happened. We are on number 9. Oh my God. This is about William Wallace. William Wallace was taken from the Hall to the Tower of London, then stripped naked and dragged through the city at the heels of a horse to the elms at Smithfield. He was hanged, drawn and quarters, strangled by hanging, but released while he was still alive, emasculated, eviscerated, and his bowels burned before him, beheaded, then cut into 4 parts. His preserved head, dipped in tar, was placed on a pike atop London Bridge. It was later joined by the heads of the brothers John and Simon Fraser. His limbs were displayed separately in Newcastle, Berwick, Stirling, and Perth. Whoa. Anyone else heard of that one before? Oh, this is your first time here? Well, I'm glad you came. Yes, fish and beer. Is that the Friday before? Usually people give a can't remember when Lent starts, but that's my Mary Berthoween. Oh my god. All right, number 10. Omeira Sanchez Garzon, a 13-year-old Colombian girl who became trapped, pinned under the debris of her house in floodwater after the eruption of a volcano, where she survived for 60 hours before she died. There's a photo of her taken in her last 2 days. On the third night, Sanchez began hallucinating, saying that she did not want to be late for school and mentioned a math exam. Near the end of her life, Sanchez's eyes reddened, her face swelled, and her hands whitened. Oh, wow. See, they're not all about murder. They're just drawn out deaths. Number 11. John Jones in Nutty Putty Cave. Though Cannon said they were able to get in some air-powered tools into the cave to chip away at some of the rock that trapped him, Jones most likely died from the pressure on his body and his inability to breathe. He was wedged around his mid-torso and upper hip area. Due to the circumstances with his body being held the way it was and being wedged, it was most likely difficult to get a full deep breath. It would have affected his ability to breathe adequately. Rescuers first responded to the call about Jones around 9 p.m. Tuesday. Jones had entered the cave with a group of 11 others, but decided to explore a different route, his brother Josh Jones had said. Josh said his brother continued through the tight passageway known as the birth canal to Bob's Push, described by police as an 18-inch by 10-inch L-shaped pinpoint. Huh. So if the guy knew it, why did he keep going forward? I don't know. Some people just think they're invincible sometimes, eh? Oh, and there's more to it. I didn't know that. Roundy, a rescuer with Utah County Sheriff's Office, said they had difficulty reaching John Jones as he was stuck in the absolutely worst spot in the cave. It's very narrow, very awkward, and it's difficult to get rescuers down there. This was on Wednesday evening. It's a really tight spot where we've been able to get around him. We were able to hold his hand at some point. He said they were able to free Jones initially using a rope pulley system, and at that point, Jones had been hanging head first at a 70 or 80 degree angle for more than 8 hours. Okay, so you know that he didn't make it. Wow. That's awful. I see there aren't any mods here. Do you even have a mod? I'm allowed to get on my hands and knees and beg for a wrench. Tasmania. I'm Australian. Oh, are you? I just discovered like a few days ago that this song that I used to sing as a kid, I still sing it. I posted this on Twitter if you don't follow me on Twitter, but Cuckoo Bear sits in an old gum tree eating on the gumdrops he can see. There's a little childhood song like that. And I've sang it my whole life, and I always ask everyone I know, didn't you sing this as a kid? Didn't you sing? And no. So I posted on Twitter, and there's a few other people that said they've heard it too. So I was relieved, but I have a lot of question marks about my life. So when I figure out something is not even from anywhere I'm from, then I have to figure out, okay, why do I know this song? So I don't know. I was just bringing it up because you said you're Australian, Billy. Kookaburra, yep. I don't know. Why do I need a mod, though? I'm not sure why I need one. I'm going to go back to the thing now. Number 12. Roasted alive on a huge grill. My favorite martyr, St. Lawrence of the Gridiron, was roasted alive on a huge grill. Reportedly, when his roaster asked him to deny his faith, Lawrence said, "Turn me over. I'm done on this side." Wow, that's a badass right there. Turn me over, bitch. I'm done on this side. Number 13. Ew, this was like one sentence. Some people think that King Edward II was killed by having a red-hot poker shoved up his anus. Oh. Well, I hope no one's feeling constipated or hemorrhoidal today, because I'm sure that just set you right into the best mood ever. Ugh. I'm in Michigan, Billy. Mandela effect on that song. You think so? My ego hasn't been stroked too much today. Ha ha ha. Holy shit, this guy is a badass. Triple X rated, vomiting. Yes, I'll just say it repeatedly. Trigger warning to everything that comes out of my mouth ever, and especially during a live stream because I haven't pre-read these. We are on 25 horrifyingly brutal and drawn-out deaths that actually happened. That doesn't mean they were all murdered. So some of them actually died because of a natural disaster. We are on number 14. Shanda Scherer. I think that's her name. I'm fuzzy on the details. But as far as I can remember, she was a young 12 or 13-year-old girl that was mercilessly beat, tortured, and ultimately set on fire while still alive. One night, after sneaking out of her house to hang out with some friends, all because one of the girls that liked her thought she was trying to steal her girlfriend. It's such a fucked up case. I think the girls who did it only recently got out of prison. Happened in the 80s, perhaps early 90s. Whoa. Number 15. Beaten, burned, starved, forced to eat feces, and forced to shove a glass bottle into herself. The story of Sylvia Likens comes to mind. She was locked in the basement of a woman who was paid to take care of her. She was beaten, burned, starved, forced to eat feces, among other things, forced to shove a glass bottle into herself, and was also kept naked. She eventually died of brain hemorrhage, shock, malnutrition after 3 months of an escalating torture. There's a movie based on her torture, which is dramatized to make it worse if that's possible, which is called The Girl Next Door, made in 2007, not to be confused with the comedy made in 2004. It's a super fucked up movie, and I definitely lost sleep the night I watched it. Okay, I gotta write that down. 2007, The Girl Next Door. I feel like I did see that on Netflix. I didn't watch it, but I think I saw the title on Netflix. Check in the chat. Ancient society was brutal. Some of these, yeah, but I mean, current society is pretty fucking brutal too. Which is the whole point. It's like when you don't learn about these horrifying things, how are people desensitized to it? Like, I put myself always in the position, like, if I feel like I'm too comfortable with what I'm hearing, which I never am, how would I feel if this happened to me or someone I cared about? That's how you can learn to stop desensitizing yourself to that, because it's a reality for so many people. What if this happened to you or someone you really, really loved? It's not entertainment. It's a horrifying fact. It's 3:33 a.m. in Australia. That is an accent I could never get down. Like, I couldn't even, there's like a few words I could do, but oh, you did see that, Rachel? Hello, Rachel. Ooh, Thursday morning yawn. Oh, wow. Ew, Harry. All right, for anyone that's new, we are reading 25 horrifyingly brutal and drawn out deaths that actually happen. So, trigger warning, just a given for anyone that's new tuning in. We are on number 16. This one is really, really bad just by the title I'm reading. So if you are not wanting to hear any violence against children, please just don't listen for a minute. Because here we go. This is Cambodian genocide. I went to a museum that is located at one of the old killing fields, a grim name for a camp dedicated to killing your neighbors. This place had several locations taped off because the ground will regularly push up teeth during rains. I personally saw a couple of teeth in the ground there. Then the audio tour took me further. I stopped at a tree, wondering what was so special here. Apparently, living babies were swung by their feet and tossed, smashed, or otherwise impacted with the tree. The Khmer Rouge killed 25% of Cambodia's population. if you have had an education of any kind, or were a doctor or engineer or worker or lived in the city, yes, that was a criterion. Or really anything besides a farmer. You were killed. Old, young, babies, children, everyone. Wow. Does that sound familiar to anyone? I've never heard of that before. Eaten alive by bugs? Yeah. I'm too desensitized to everything, so I'm good. I don't think being desensitized is good at feeling. I feel like yeah, no. Everything that is odd or even taboo seems normal to me. You see a tree in a death camp, don't ask questions. Yeah, I think that's the general rule. Khmer Rouge was bad. Um, Possibly as bad as Hitler. Did they kill 6 million people? 25% of the population, it said. Um, oh no. Okay, I'm going to go back to the stories now because this is 25 horrifyingly brutal and drawn out deaths that actually happened. To anyone just joining us, trigger warning for everything that comes out of my mouth. We are on number 17. On Unsolved Mysteries, when I binged episodes a few years back, the story of David Box died in 1984 working in a uranium processing plant. His death occurred in a uranium furnace. They found out when the furnace temperature dropped by 28 degrees when it was kept at a constant 1300 degrees. He had apparently fallen into the furnace, which investigators ruled a suicide. Evidently, he was conscious during his time in the radioactive smelting furnace. It took 3 days for it to be cooled off enough for the investigators to dig through. His remains were so irradiated, duh. They could not even be buried, but rather had to be stored in a special hazardous waste compound. But what makes this even stranger is the nature of his death. This would have been extremely painful. No one would want to go out this way. Later that year, in 1984, Fernald, the company, came under public scrutiny for releasing millions of pounds of uranium dust into the atmosphere. The family speculates that Dave Box was actually murdered by other employees or company men, as they suspected he was the whistleblower who let it known to the public of the company's misdoings. They think he was killed for telling the truth, lowered into the smelter like Terminator 2 by some corrupt co-workers. Holy crap. $10 million? Stalin was 10 million? Now we're going to have debate in there. 2 to 3 million. I mentioned the gauntlet. Okay. Oh no, he killed 6 million, but he also tortured many, kept many in camps. Some people, yeah. I'd like to do a whole series on Hitler, but there's a really, really good one on the History Channel. I don't know if it's still there. Actually, my brother-in-law is the one that brought it up. If my husband's still in the chat, then maybe he'll say it, but I think it's called Finding Hitler. And they do this whole thing where they have all these theories and evidence that if he just died recently or is still alive, of all these people that know how he got out and escaped and everything. Numbers is not a measure of evil. No, but what's worse is not just the acts he did, but all the people that followed him and didn't do anything to stop him. You've caused death, Night Companion? Right. Well, some people believe it's not his skull and mandible. So um, their theories are really interesting. It's just an interesting series, to say the least. When I was quite young, might have been a young adult, I saw, and I haven't seen these since. So I don't know if someone eliminated them or they're just hidden somewhere. But there's a whole series on interviews with the people that lived right by the there's a gas chamber he would send. He not only wanted people with blonde hair and blue eyes for his nation that he wanted, but he also believed that you should eliminate all of those who were disabled in any way whatsoever. And he even had propaganda commercials and everything in movies that he would show to people to say that these people shouldn't be in existence. And he literally went out of his way to eliminate them too. And the people that lived around there remember seeing the smoke coming out of the chambers. And it was just awful. Oh, a soldier, yeah. I think that's a whole nother discussion right there, Billy. I mean, Night Companion. Okay. We are on number 18. Sean Doyle. Around Christmas 2002, a bartender, Doyle, went out drinking with pal Michael Wright and Wright's girlfriend. As they all walked home, Wright thought Doyle was hitting on his girlfriend. And witnesses later told cops they saw a man getting the shit beat out of him. He was heard screaming, "No, don't break my legs," and another witness said he saw someone throw Doyle down an open manhole. The drop was 18 feet. At the bottom was a pool of boiling water from a broken main. Doyle didn't die instantly. In fact, as first responders arrived, he was standing below, reaching up and screaming for help. No paramedic or firefighter could climb down to help. It was a Con Ed supervisor that said 300 degrees. Oh my God. It was 300 degrees in the steam tunnel. 4 hours later, Sean Doyle's body was finally recovered. Its temperature was 125 degrees. The medical examiners thought it was likely way higher, but thermometers couldn't read any higher than that. When Melinek, the medical examiner, saw the body on her autopsy table, she writes, she thought he'd been steamed like a lobster. His entire outer layer of skin had been peeled off, and his internal organs were literally cooked. He otherwise had no broken bones, no head trauma, which meant he was fully conscious as he boiled to death. The worst nightmares I ever had in my 2 years at OCME, the medical examiner says this, came after I performed the post-mortem of Sean Doyle. Yeah. That's a profession I could never do at all. Auschwitz concentration camp. Crazy jelly people out there. The camp was called Auschwitz. May have come off Patreon, but I will be back later. The skin would have burnt off by then, by God. Yeah. Woo. Okay. Number 19. Crushed to death with rocks placed on top of a wooden board. Giles Corey was pressed to death, or basically crushed by placing a board over him. He was subjected to it because he was accused of witchcraft and refused to plea, so the sheriff oversaw the pressing while waiting for a plea. When noon rolled around, the sheriff asked him what his plea was, and Giles said, "More rocks." Huh. That's slightly badass there. All right. Number 20. Okay, the Kitakyushu murders were the absolute worst way to go. The victims, a family, were given electric shocks by the perpetrator to the point to being driven into insanity and ultimately began to kill each other from mere orders. Being killed by someone who loved or forced to kill your love is probably the worst way to go. I can't even. Number 21. Put through a giant meat grinder at an amusement park. I'm surprised no one has mentioned the Dream World accident on here. Comparatively quick, but to me the most objectively horrifying. 4 people were basically drowned, decapitated, and essentially put through a giant meat grinder simultaneously in front of their young children. in seconds because of one little mistake on a ride that was suitable for toddlers and had operated for 40 years without incident. They didn't even do anything remotely dangerous. They didn't rebel against an evil government or go caving in a sketchy place or have a dangerous job. They were just having fun with their families, and they went in an instant to suffering the most horrifying death possible. It sounds to me like it wasn't a drawn-out death, though. It sounds like it was just quick. I don't know who edits these, but they don't. Usually if I read them, I have to edit them quite a bit. Oh, really? You have heard of it then? It was a whole family. Harry, why did the guy torture himself? It was a whole family that were given electric shock to the point where they were driven insane and then killed their prospective family members because of the orders given by the perpetrators. So I don't even know if they were aware of what they were doing or aware of who was doing what to them. Lotta B, good morning. Okay, back to this. We are reading 25 horrifyingly brutal and drawn out deaths that actually happened, and we're actually on number 22. Stabbed him in the chest, threw him in a hole, and set him on fire. So the death of Tomasz Jaworski, 19-year-old soon-to-be student, it happened 20 years ago. I only heard about it a few weeks ago because it was the 20th anniversary. Someone translated it from Polish into English, so I don't know how this is going to read. There were a bunch of kids who were celebrating passing the exams, and they were going to be students soon. College students. They went to a pretty popular place back then, which was called Las Molchinski, a small forest with places where you can drink and have a bonfire, etc. There's around 30 of them. They were just having fun when three drunk guys came to them and wanted to join them, but instead they got into a fight. Those three drunk guys had baseball bats, but they thought they had no chance, so they went to the bar, which was close to the forest, and met Monica. The last name isn't there, and some of her friends. They planned revenge together on those poor kids, so they went back to the original place and noticed that there were only like 10 kids left. But they went out and started to beat the shit out of everyone with baseball bats. Someone named Tomek started to run when the attackers said something about beating the cars that were around. They started to destroy one of the cars in which there was just one couple, so they started to drive away as fast as possible. While leaving the forest, they accidentally damaged the car of one of the offenders, so they caught Tomek. They started to beat him and torture him. They wanted to know who damaged their car, but he had no idea. As it turned out, that it was just some random couple. So they took poor Tomek with them and went to another part of the city where they all hung out. They restrained him, while also casually beating him multiple times. When he was not being beaten, they just randomly had sex, kept drinking alcohol, etc. When they realized they had no idea who damaged their car, they decided to straight up kill him. They took off his clothes and gave him one shirt, then put him in the trunk of a car and drove a few kilometers away where they dug a hole which he would be put in later. While the attackers were digging the hole, the girl named Monica would say things to Tomek like, "It's okay, we're going to let you live," or "You will just join your family soon, don't worry." Then one of the attackers stabbed him in the chest, threw him in a hole, and they then set his body on fire. It later came to a public knowledge that all of the offenders were between 19 and 24, and that this lady was 24 and had 3 kids, and was later subject to a thorough psychoanalysis. In court, she showed no remorse and said something along the lines of, "He deserved that, he was trash." This crucial murder shocked all of Poland, and apparently there were many protests against the baseball bats. This person got confused, trying to translate it from Polish to English. Yeah, okay. So it ends weird, so I'll just leave that from you guys. This is number 23. There is no single torture device or horrific accident that can compare to the month-long torture and eventually murder of Kelly Ann Bates. Her murder is comparable to that of Junko Furuta, but not as well known, it seems. Very few people in human history have suffered as much as she had. So we'll just go to that link and see while it loads. And Charlotte is, oh, that's so cute. Lottaby. I am, Night Companion, I will jump out of a plane, but I do not like roller coasters. I feel like they were designed. I don't care if you're the best designer in the world. People are not meant to be clipped into a seat and flung around on metal. It's going to end disastrously at some point. And the combination of that and the fact that I hurt myself walking on flat ground, yeah, I don't feel like me being on a roller coaster are good odds, so I just stay away from them. Pumped for fishing in an hour. Oh, is that why you're up so early, Billy? Or are you a night owl? Harry Reid. Oh God, the thought of being tortured, really tortured to the point where I'm mad to the point that I'd kill those I love without hesitation nor regret due to an insanity inflicted by another human. This is getting too real for Harry. Well, we've only got two more. But we're gonna figure out the murder of Kellyanne Bates. She was a British teenager who was murdered in Manchester in 1996 when she was 17. She was tortured over a period of 4 weeks, including having her eyes gouged from their sockets, and up to 3 weeks before her death by her partner, James Patterson Smith, before being drowned in a bathtub. Oh my God. Well, that's enough for me. Oh, for fishing. Just have altitude sickness and an intense fear of heights. When you're done, maybe use screen share, get a picture of baby sloths up. All right. Oh, I forgot to load the next page. Durr. If anyone's new, we are on 25 horrifyingly brutal and drawn out deaths that actually happened, and we are on number 24. Goody. 1757 is when this one happened. These are always the worst ones, I think. Not always, because as we just read, there's very recent cases of disgustingly equally brutal torture that has happened not that long ago. But it seemed to be a common practice back, a couple hundred years ago, probably not even that long. So let's see. Fetch from his prison cell on the morning of March 28, 1757. Damiens allegedly said, La journée sera rude. The day will be hard. He was first subjected to a torture in which his legs were painfully compressed by devices called boots. He was then tortured with red-hot pincers. The hand with which he had held the knife during the attempted assassination. Okay, they totally left out. It's Robert Damiens, if anybody knows who that is. I'm just figuring it out. He had held the knife during the attempted assassination, was burned using sulfur, molten wax, molten lead, and boiling oil were poured into his wounds. He was then remanded to the royal executioner, Charles Henry Sanson, who harnessed horses to his arms and legs to be dismembered, but Damien's limbs did not separate easily. The officiants ordered Sanson to cut Damien's tendons, and once that was done, the horses were able to perform the dismemberment. Once Damien's was dismembered, to the applause of the crowd, his reportedly still living torso was burnt at the stake. Ugh. It's not even just the people that committed horrible tortures. It's like all the people that watched it like it was a show. Now sorry, but I feel like that's proof of evolution right there. Oh, bye, Lotta. Thank you for coming. Oh, gross. Going back to the thing. Number 25. Wah, it's almost over. Their veins exploded due to space capsule decompression. On the space mission Soyuz 11 in 1971, the 3 astronauts died of decompression. The capsule that the men were traveling in decompressed, causing hemorrhaging of the blood vessels in their brains. Also, their veins exploded, causing bleeding under their skin, inner ears, and nose due to the nitrogen and oxygen rupture blood vessels. When the pod landed, the astronauts were all dead, and the autopsy showed heavy concentrations of lactic acid, a sign of distress. It was also calculated that the men were potentially conscious for up to a minute, meaning they were aware of their brains literally exploding for 1 minute and still awake for 20 seconds minimum before they blacked out from lack of oxygen. Oh. So yeah, space travel is dangerous. Ugh. XE. What is that, Harry? Damn sulfur lead. Cosmonauts. Google Cockle Creek, Tasmania. Is that where you're going fishing, Billy? I feel as though, Harry says, I feel as though the Cold War would have some interesting horror stories. I think, yeah. Google Earth, I am in my tent. Oh, really? Cockle Creek, Tasmania. Let's do it, and then I'll share it on the thing. Hold on. Google Earth, and then we'll look up Cockle Creek. Hold on a second. Cockle Creek, Tasmania. Crazy. I wonder if it'll let me search. I've only like looked at areas. I don't know if it's gonna let me. It says it in billion years processed as it's loading. If anybody else wants to see this. Harry's mother is a horror story. Joke, Harry. Wow. Night Companion. I got a story of a shrimp basin murder that involved fishermen taking turns beating another fisherman to death and eventually chopping his body into pieces while tied to a large tree. Oh my God. Tasmania. It's loading slowly here. So, just a second. Let me see. I will screen share it. So you guys can see this too. I am waiting for this to load so that I could share it with you, but I don't know if it's gonna. It was making progress and then it just stopped loading. I don't even see an option for me to like look something up. I'm not sure why it stopped loading though. Well, it's not for a lack of trying, Billy. I'm really trying to. Still dark here. It's not really loading, so I'm not really sure how to do anything with this. Google Earth is paused itself, so maybe I'll just stop sharing that for a minute. Let me go back and see if I can find something like that. Let's do Google Earth. Cockle Creek, Tasmania, Google Earth. Yeah, it doesn't really give me an option to see that, so it says you have free camping there. Yeah, I thought it would be cool too with a stupid computer. If you don't know, this thing is lucky it hadn't went out the window many times before. It's a running joke in our household. Wouldn't it be not funny if I died? Yeah, it wouldn't not be funny. Type Southport, Tasmania. It won't even let me do an option to that. I'll try and play around with this. So I'm pretty sure your computer has to download something for Google Earth to work. because it wasn't even finished loading yet. So, yeah. So I don't know how long. How long have we been going? Does anybody know? I don't know how long this says. Doesn't give me like an hour and 20 minutes. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. It wouldn't not be funny. Well, wouldn't it? I don't know. You worded that on purpose confusingly, Harry. So yeah. I feel like when I die, it'll be funny. Maybe not. I don't know. Chill Duchess, sub to me and I will upload my adventures. Oh, okay. Billy's got a channel. And everybody that was gonna that has stuff on SoundCloud, make sure you post that in the comment section when the chat's over so that we can all check each other's SoundClouds out. So I hopefully I'm gonna get a new phone soon because I can't download anything else on my phone. I can't even save like one picture on my phone. I have nothing, no room left. So I'm hoping to be able to. SoundCloud makes it difficult unless you're on a PC to like browse through the website and stuff, unless you have the app. So, oh, that's annoying, but I'm looking forward to listening to other people's stuff. So I'm going to say, have a good day to everybody. I don't know if it'll be a serial killer this Saturday or not. I've been toying around with that and something else. And if anyone's on my Patreon, I post every Wednesday night on Patreon on Wednesdays. If I said that multiple times. 2 years of footage. I'm going to check it out, Billy. I'm going to check it out right now. But Billy, will you post something in the comment section when I close this? Anybody that has any links or anything, just post it in the comment so we can all check each other's stuff out. And I'm going to say, everybody have a good day. Serial murderer Mondays. Everybody on my gravestone have it say, go to the zoo. They said it'll be fun, they said. Okay. I'll note that. Everyone, did you hear that for Harry? All right, I'm going to say, everybody have a good day, and I will have something up for the channel on Saturday, and I'll have something up on Patreon tonight. And until then, see you next time.